wasn't so great was last season. A couple of years ago, it was. The expectations were high, the energy, the enthusiasm in that city, and then kind of took a step back. What are your expectations for the Oilers this coming season?
Well, for me, it's really simple. Don't count on any team that Dave Tippett is coaching. This guy knows how to galvanize a group like nobody else. A good example would be what Barry Trotz did last year with the New York Islanders, a team that maybe people looked at. They lost their captain. They had some defections, obviously. Didn't necessarily project the best roster, and yet they had a fantastic season. Could the Edmonton Oilers do that this year? Yes. They're going to need some luck along the way. But I expect Dave Tippett to be all over galvanizing this group into more of a team. There's a lot of things that went on with the Edmonton Oilers that from a distance I wasn't necessarily kosher with.
Okay.
Everything was about the star player, and I get that. But if you want to win in the National Hockey League, it needs to be a team effort. I actually felt at times that it was too Connor McDavid heavy. That's not on him. Those are just things that I would see publicly and go, I don't really think that's what Connor wants projected. I'm talking about when you go into Toronto and Connor's going to kill the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Exactly.
That doesn't reek of team.
All right, new head coach, new GM, and Ken Holland, and we take a look at some of the additions, subtractions this summer for the Edmonton Oilers. What jumps off the page to you here? They bring in a guy like James Neal, who had a down year, maybe has a chip on his shoulder. Is it a personnel issue in Edmonton right now that they just don't have enough depth? And if so, are these moves enough to maybe Band-Aid that area?
Well, it's clear to me that Ken Holland takes over this club with an illustrious resume coming from Detroit. Obviously, all the success that they had over the years, really pre-2009, but he comes in with a great resume. He takes a look at the roster, and he understands that this team is in salary cap jail. He makes an aggressive, impressive move in moving Milan Lucic out. That was a number one issue that had to be solved for the Oilers. Would he have liked to have solved some of the other ones, like depth, particularly at the forward position? Yes. Didn't have those opportunities. He went a different direction. And if you ask me, he actually went a familiar path that he was able to use strategically before. Why would I say that? Because if you go back to after the no season in 04-05, the start of the salary cap, Ken Holland had a team that had a $100 million payroll. He had to get it down to $39 million. How did he do it? He went out and signed a bunch of European players, and he found success with guys like Samuelson. Brought a bunch of these guys over. They played well. I saw some of that in the Oilers roster this year when you look at some of the names. That's how he's going to try to supplement that forward group. The D-core here, yes, there's some real opportunity for a guy like Bouchard to come in. But the fact of the matter is, it's not really Ken Holland's style. I'd look maybe for some of the other quality players that they have in the minors. Because one thing that people don't realize about the Edmonton Oilers, they've got some quality prospects that are right there. They're on the doorstep, and they're going to be able to play minutes this year. You know that Ken's going to look at the younger ones like Bouchard and probably try to develop those guys at the American League level. It's going to be tough for them to make it to the playoffs when it's all said and done. But as I started this with, don't count out the Dave Tippett team. Mike Smith, by the way, I think Mike and Dave have a lot of history together. That could be a real positive. Koskinen, on the other hand, he's got to prove that he can grab the reins and be a number one goaltender.
The Battle of Alberta is going to be fun this year because there's a lot of familiar faces just switching places, like Lucic, Mike Smith, as you mentioned. So that'll be a fun regular season